So on each of the Genesis boats, the configuration of the breaker panel is going to be slightly different. Some of the breakers might be labeled something a little bit different than shown in the video here. But for the breaker panel, it's very easy. The first row is going to be running off 12 volt 240 AC power. Your second row is once again off the 120 240 AC power. Your third and fourth row are going to run off your 12 volt DC. So those are low drawing appliances, lights, stuff like that draws out low amount of power from the batteries. So going down your third row, first off you have your panel lights. Those just light up the panel just to make it easier to read. Your gas monitors are your CO detectors located throughout the boat. You guys are going to want to make sure you leave that breaker on at all times so that it's continually checking for gas throughout the boat. All of your guys' lights breakers, which is the rest of this third row here, you guys can turn on and off using the light switches throughout the boat or using the breakers to turn them off quicker. On this fourth row, you have more lights to start. You have your wet bar stereo. Your wet bar stereo is for your stereo up on the second deck. You have some more lights. 12 volt outlet is for the 12 volt outlets located throughout the boat. You have your water heater indicator switch here. You're going to want to make sure you leave that one on your entire trip just to keep that breaker on and your water heater heating the water that you need throughout the boat. So continuing on with your lake water pump, you guys have 2 lake water pump breakers on board the Genesis boats. Make sure that those are turned off before you start driving. If you start driving with those 2 lake water pumps on, you can suck up air into your lake water pump. It's going to airlock the pump and you'll have no water going throughout the boat. So make sure those are both off before you start driving. If you need to use water while you're driving, bring your boat to a stop and make sure your throttle is just in the neutral position. You can flip on your 2 breakers, use the water as you need, and then shut them back off before you start driving again. On the Genesis boats, there is no fresh water pump hooked up anymore, so you guys don't have to worry about that switch. And the spare breaker is different on each of the boats. You guys can go through the boat and figure out what that spare breaker uses. So in your first and second row, you guys will have an inverter switch located at the top. Usually they are a white switch. You're going to want to make sure you leave these 2 inverter breakers on for your entire trip, just so it inverts power from your house batteries to your higher drawing appliances. So continuing down the first row, you guys have your dishwasher. You guys are going to flip that breaker on whenever you need to use your dishwasher. Below it you have forward deck outlets, which is outlets located in the front area of your guys' boat. You have your port bathroom outlets, air conditioning or ACON, and your aircon pump. Before you turn on your air conditioning unit, you're going to make sure you turn on that ACON pump for about 5 to 10 minutes before you turn on the air conditioning unit. This just cycles fluid throughout the air conditioning unit to get it started and fired up before you flip on the breaker. This is an example of an air conditioning unit temperature adjustment on each of the boats. So it's very easy. You have your fan, which you can set to auto, on, or off. You have a system, which can be on, cool, heat, or off. And then you have your temperature adjustment over on the side here. That's how you adjust your air conditioning as well as heating sometimes within the boats. Below the air conditioning pump is your hot tub breaker and your hot tub fill pump. So we'll go over more about the hot tub and there will be a separate video upstairs for your guys' hot tub. But that needs to have the generator running in order for it to be heating and cycling water and circulating water through the hot tub. Below that you have...
Ready to start your generator. The first and most important thing you have to do is turn the main breaker to the off position. That main breaker is what's connecting the power feed from the generator, so we just always want to make sure that you're not starting it under a load. Once you've confirmed the main breaker is off, you simply go to your generator start and stop and hold start for 1 second, release it, and you should see a green indicator light pop up on the switch showing that your generator is going to start itself up. Once that generator turns over, I just want you guys to let the gen warm up for a good 5 to 10 minutes before you flip the main breaker to the ship's gen position. This is just allowing the generator to warm up before it is charging our batteries and powering those high output items. To shut the gen off is reverse of what we did at the start. Simply flip your main breaker back to the off position and hold stop on the generator start and stop until it is totally off.
So this is another style of the actual inverter panel here. So this inverter panel tells you what your battery charge is on and throughout your guys' boat. So once again, 12 volts is the minimum. If it goes below 12 volts, there is a 12 volt alarm on the boat, so it will slowly start to beep at you. So it's a single beep and then about 10 seconds and it will beep again. That just lets you know you need to start up your generator and let it charge, usually for about 2 to 3 hours after you would get that low voltage alarm, in order for yourselves to get a good charge. If you shut off the generator as soon as that alarm goes away, your battery is going to drain down quickly and set that alarm off again. So this panel will say one of 3 things on it. It will say inverting when your generator is not running and your boat is not charging. It will say bulk charging when your batteries are slowly charging up. And it will say float charging or full charge once your batteries are full. So in a couple seconds, your charging light will engage. It will say charging for you guys once your generator is on and you're set to ship's gen. And slowly it will click in and it will let you know what your full charge or your bulk charge. So for this boat here, it is set to float charge, which means your batteries are full. Below that, you have your salon outlets, which is outlets located in the main area. And once again, you have another hot tub breaker just because that hot tub does use a lot of power to keep everything cycling. Along the second row, very easy. Once again, you have the inverter. Make sure you leave it on the entire time. Galley outlets are for the outlets just in the main area. Once again, you have your washer and dryer. Only the dryer is hooked up on each of the Genesis boats. You have starboard bathroom outlets, which is for the right-hand side of your boat, the bathrooms. You have a water slide breaker that puts water down your guys' slide as long as you have that water slide breaker on and your 2 lake water pumps on. Make sure your engine is shut off if anybody is going to go in the water. You have your island outlet breaker, which is for outlets on the island. You have a spare. You have your fridge, which you're going to want to leave on your entire trip. Make sure you leave that on. For the reason, if you turn it off, you're going to have warm food and warm drinks, and nobody wants that on their trip. Right below that, you have your stove breaker, which is how do you power on your stove. Your microwave breaker. Whenever you're using the microwave, Twin Anchors suggests that you guys run your generator just because that does draw a lot of power and drains down the batteries very quickly. So make sure you have that generator running. You have your salon fan, which is for the big fan in your main area. Salon entertainment is for your TV and entertainment center in the living room area. You have another galley outlet. Stateroom TVs are for the TVs in each of the bedrooms. You have your wet bar TV breaker, which is for the wet bar upstairs. And finally, you have wet bar outlets for the wet bar that is upstairs on your boat.